This is Johnny Bluestar from the spacecraft Omega calling Earthbase. Earthbase, do you hear me? No answer. No signal from Mars base either. Thanks, Elon, for perfecting faster than light travel 2 centuries ago. It's too bad you didn't help them with their stupid intergalactic communication system. I'm trapped here in the Cryptonic galaxy, much more dangerous than I thought. Loose asteroids everywhere, dying planets, exploding suns, and confusing as hell. I told you not to send me, but here I go. Whether I can reach you or not, I'm supposed to make reports on this strange galaxy. Welcome, my friends, to another report from my rather beaten down starship from the Cryptonic galaxy. I'm happy to see you, and if you wish, please put your comments down below the screen. To start off with, please understand this interstellar traveler is a complete amateur and newcomer to this region of deep space, and although he likes to make comments on various aspects of crypto, thinking he has anything of value in terms of financial advice would be critically mistaken. He is not and probably never will be any kind of crypto advisor. Many people in the cryptocurrency world have faced significant challenges owing to the bull run that never seems to happen. There seems to be an endless dance in the $40,000 to $50,000 range as Bitcoin descends and ascends daily, more or less surrendering to the same dance that occurred recently above the $50,000 range. The explanation given for this is generally that certain large trading patterns unveil themselves over time, and we were in a dip, not that unfamiliar to veterans of the crypto world. The second and most often mentioned reason for dips like this is the action of whales, large crypto holders who manipulate the market by stimulating and buying and selling activities aimed at encouraging price hikes and panicking selling by retail clients. Right now, I believe I perceive some confusion by fair-minded crypto commentators who for months have been acknowledging the disturbing downturns, but also, and quite naturally, try to shed a ray of hope for investors. I definitely would not say they are panicking, but I would say they are not happy. But sometimes there are special incidents or events which spur a spike or downside. Elon Musk is now legendary for the downslide he started with Bitcoin, based on his sudden revelation that there was an energy problem with the production of Bitcoin with mining. Now that situation has faded for various reasons, including his proactive stance that he has taken with the energy management in crypto, particularly with the Bitcoin. Another special problem are comments of the Federal Reserve, which can ripple down all markets in the United States and throughout the world. One of the YouTube commentators that I like the most is George at CrytoRUs. I believe George has a wide-ranging view of markets in general and a grasp of the world economy that makes sense to me. He is quietly an advocate of long-term investments in the Bitcoin, but he is also a student of the long-term opportunities and challenges in crypto. Here is his analysis of the effect of the latest comments by the Fed on the major dip in Bitcoin and crypto in general.
All right, so what exactly happened? Okay, this morning I covered how there was 2 things that may be weighing on the market. Number 1 is the Fed minutes, and number 2, the new strain from France. And there's something else going on with Kazakhstan, but still, what really spooked the market, brought it down, a huge sell-off with the Dow, S&P, and especially NASDAQ. NASDAQ was really horrific, and all big tech companies got sold off, and that's because of the Fed minutes and how Wall Street really overreacted to it. Or did they? So what came out of it that surprised the market? The Fed minutes is just basically meeting notes. What was discussed during the December meeting, which we already know Chairman Powell came out and said, well, there's a couple things he's looking to do. Number 1 is tapering, meaning he's going to buy less bonds every single month. And then number 2 is to raise interest rates. So that's not a surprise. But I guess what is a surprise, what came out of this is this. They also are looking at reducing their balance sheet. And I had to do some digging. What's the implications to this? Why is this such a big deal? Well, let's take a look at a couple things. First of all, how did we get here? Why is all this being implemented this year? Well, of course, I think you guys know. The trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions that was printed And the trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions that was bought by the Fed. So take a look at this. The balance sheet of the Federal Reserve went from about a little bit under 4 trillion, and you could see how it went down slightly, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But it went from under 4 trillion to now over 8 trillion, closing in at 9 trillion. So they finally decided that, hey, this was a little bit too much, too high. So we need to do something about it. So during the meeting, the minutes, basically there was 3 things that was mentioned: tapering, interest rate hike, and reduction of the balance sheet. And this is what got really people scared, and that's why everything turned. Okay, so what does this mean exactly? What does it mean to reduce the balance sheet, right? So this is the reason why market got spooked. What does it really mean? Well, this is what it means. The treasuries, or the bonds or securities that the Fed holds, basically they have maturity dates, right? All securities have maturity dates, especially if you're talking about U.S. Treasury bond or something like that, 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 30 years. There's usually a maturity date. And if you wait until that maturity date, then you get the interest promise, which is still very low, but still there is something. And what's been happening is when those securities mature, they get replaced with another security, basically the same equivalent one. And, it just keeps rolling like that. And basically how they unwind or reduce their balance sheet is by letting these expire, not replacing them with another one. So this way, over time, it starts gradually dropping off their balance sheet and it starts going down. The problem with this is that it tends to be slow. And it looks like, Fed Chairman Powell wants to make things faster because of how fast the balance sheet has been going up. And this is the real worry here, okay? And I'm going to get to the gist of this, why people are threatened by this. Well, this happened from 2017 to 2019. So I talked about how you could see how there's a little dip. It's surprising that it dipped at all. You would expect it just keeps going up forever. But no, around 2017 is when they announced that, hey, we want to reduce the balance sheet. 4.4 trillion is already too high. We want to get it down to half. That was their goal, to get that down to about 2 point something trillion. So they're like, okay, let's decrease our balance sheet by doing exactly what I said. But unfortunately, it was just too slow. And they got down to about 3.7. And guess what happened? COVID happened, right? And that's when things went really out of control. So not only was it too slow, but also it never fully completed because it was supposed to be ongoing until 2020 and beyond, but it didn't happen. So it worked slightly. It was kind of like a drop in the bucket, and then things got wildly out of control, right? And why this is relevant, especially for Bitcoin, okay? And you could say that this may be a direct reason or indirect reason because, of course, we know Bitcoin's top was in 2017, the last cycle. What happened in 18, 19, and 20? Well, Bitcoin was stuck in crypto winter. But that makes sense, right? Because 2017 is a top for Bitcoin. And, of course, traditional 4-year cycles, like the previous one in 2013, you have a top and then 3 years of down years, and then you have one good year and you start over. But here's the thing. If you look at what happened in 2018, 2019, 2020, that happens to be the years when the reduction in balance sheet was happening, right? And rates was climbing up as well. So some would argue that this is horrendous for Bitcoin and could be horrendous for tech stocks. That is why Wall Street started to sell off, because if interest rates starts going up, tapering starts happening, reduction of balance sheets, which means that a lot of the bonds that the U.S. Treasury, the Federal Reserve holds, is just going to be matured and done, is not going to be renewed. It gets a lot of people antsy, right? This is the reason why for what we're seeing right now. So, does this mean that essentially the Fed has just killed Bitcoin? Right? That's the ultimate question. Did they really kill Bitcoin? Here's the thing. Okay, despite all this, and you could say that maybe this is a direct cause, right? But despite all this, I have good news for you guys. Do I think Bitcoin is killed? Number one. No, I do not think Bitcoin is killed, because everything that I've been telling you guys about what I'm interested in terms of holding, investing, long-term, life-changing wealth, that is still my goal. Even though I've achieved it, I want to achieve it some more, and I want you guys to achieve it with me. All right, so that's number one. Number two is all the fundamentals of Bitcoin and Web 3.0 and DeFi and NFT, the foundation that really spurred up in 2021, now that we're 22, did not go away. It's still the future, and this will pass. Okay? And that's because this is an evolving and growing change, a fundamental change in society.
Besides these short-term factors I've mentioned, there are other factors that could affect the future well-being of the crypto space, and even accordingly cause a short or long-term downslide of crypto prices. These are the narratives of various types of critics who have chosen to target crypto. One of the most amazing of these attacks claims that crypto was started by government in order to prepare the foundations for a more honest government digital currency, presumably on the blockchain but entirely controlled by government. I personally find this claim to be ridiculous, because the government, however wary, has been there during an incredible, complex, and widespread expansion of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. They were so full of foresight and ready to pounce at the right moment. What were they waiting for? No, I don't think that government was the creator of crypto. Another claim, possibly not so relevant to its immediate decline in value, is that cryptocurrency is super dependent on the dollar. If the dollar loses its value, so will cryptocurrency. This concept is triggered by the fact that you can't buy a lot of things easily with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency. There are now a number of ways to spend cryptocurrency, including Shiba Inu, but Bitcoin has now the Lightning Network, which allows for transaction, and is widely known that a tremendous number of institutions have invested in Bitcoin, believe the day is approaching that buying things directly from crypto, particularly even Bitcoin, is on its way. Further, if the dollar tanks, I think crypto will define its own value based on the marketplace, perhaps a little better than the manipulation of the fiat dollar. To learn more about the Lightning Network, go to an article published in Cointelegraph. See below this video for the link. Is crypto fading because people are disillusioned with its value as a token to buy things? I say no anyway. Bitcoin in particular has been universally accepted as a, quote, store of value, but one that over time is quite volatile. People and institutions have made millions and millions owing to the amazing growth in value since its invention. But along with a critique of the limitations of cryptocurrency as money, which does exist at the moment because people buy with the dollar and other currencies mainly, there is the idea that this makes crypto literally worthless in the long run. But those critics fail to realize that, in fact, crypto doesn't just act as currency from time to time. It basically allows small and large investors to put their money into expanding the blockchain and cryptocurrency technology and other diverse technologies, support causes of interest they have. In effect, charities or special products have created an explosion in the world of art with NFTs, at the very heart of the growth of the video gaming and dozens of other projects where small investors can put their money and actually make enough to be of value. Those who rail against crypto and speak of the need for investing in things of real value like gold and silver, real estate, collectible art objects, the still relevant stock market, forget that thousands of people with relatively small incomes can use crypto to boost their downsized lifestyle by profiting from their investments in cryptocurrency. So crypto functions like money, but it also functions like stock and other types of investments to support projects. This is not to say that I think crypto should not be regulated. I think certain regulation is important. But the intent of the regulation should not be to discourage or destroy crypto, but to create a fair and trustworthy environment to trade in. Like the stock and precious metals market, certain practices give the large investors tremendous power to control the market. I think needed regulation might function like antitrust regulations that control excess amount of power wielded by the large players and allow them to absolutely crush smaller players. But in terms of manipulation of the markets, I have other concerns. They lie in my and others' observation about the way that precious metals have been so brutally manipulated, and my wondering what else might be afoot here in regards to cryptocurrency. Precious metals have often functioned like the safe havens as a way to push off the consequences of the inflation of government, fiat currency. But now, although commentators often assert that as the government loses control over inflation, owing largely to the money printing craze that has overtaken the central banks, the effects of inflation, which are now dramatically affecting people's lives, will not vitiate the hold that government has had on precious metal prices. Crypto should act in the same way as a safe haven, but it certainly isn't now. Owing to the volatility of markets, the rampant inflation, and the uncertainty for the economy generated by the lockdowns and restrictions on business, many people are nonetheless forced to concentrate on their own personal business to move forward. My company honors their direction and is organized to help small business as well as creative adventurers like authors and screenwriters and musicians develop content for websites, videos, press releases, speaking engagements, etc. We have a special interest for those who feel their business, small or large, is a key to their personal mission to help themselves and greater humanity.
Do you have a media project that seems burned, even branded into your mind and soul? Do you ponder over it all day and think about it during restless nights? You have an ardent desire to make it happen, but you know you need help. You realize it may cost a bit, but you know it will be worth it. And you found me. Maybe because of a referral, maybe you heard one of my broadcasts, or just happened on my website or profile and felt a special prompting that you should check this out. Well, maybe, just maybe, you came to the right place. The reality is that I only want projects that intrinsically embody an unusual level of passion and commitment. Perhaps you feel guided to create this project, that it is hooked to your imagination in an undeniable way. Is something in you just demanding you to create it? If this project is important to you with that level of interest and conviction, then I am interested. Why is that? Because I believe that a certain type of passion demonstrates that you and your project are connected to the universe in a special way, and if so, I might like to help you facilitate and perfect that connection. Now the question might be, what kind of a project do you have? Well, it doesn't matter to me if it's a film script, a nonfiction book, an ad campaign, a novel, a song, a kick-ass website, or just publicity that can match the passion of your ongoing project. For one reason or another, I have a widespread background in creating very diverse media projects, for that is my passion. To qualify this further, creating content and promotional materials for media projects that are consequential and important to my client, myself, and probably for the rest of the world is exactly what I want to do. Many of my projects are collaborative, which involve an upfront fee, but also profit sharing. If any of this seems relevant to you, contact me and let's see what we can work out.
We will be discussing more in the next exciting adventure in the crypto galaxy. Thank you for listening.